Oh, wow. No way. Let's test out a pack liner versus a compression sack while backpacking. The results are definitely going to surprise you. I had a viral short a few months ago where I called out a lot of outdoor influencers for being reckless on the trail. A lot of you pointed me to a pack liner. I've been backpacking for 20 years. I know what a pack liner is. So this viral video talks about how people aren't using a pack liner. If you haven't watched the viral short, take a look at it before we get started. Don't worry, I'll wait. All of the comments on your short inspired me to do a head-to-head test of 4 different things: weight, packability, the time it takes to pack and unpack, and waterproofing. And the results really weren't what I expected. I started with one idea and ended up with a totally different one by the end of these tests. Next up, we're going to be looking at 3 different compression sack systems. Technically, a pack liner is a compression sack. So I have a trash bag here, and I also have the bag that the thermos sleeping bag came with. I'm going to be using this because it's just so tiny and small, but I'm really curious to see how it works out. And then last up, I have this very standard, lots of people have it, Sea to Summit ultralight sill compression sack. This one is specifically designed for waterproofing. I know as backpackers, you all really care about the weight. I obviously know a lot of people are talking about these and saying they prefer them because they're gram weenies. Listen, we all have our kink. And inevitably, this is going to be lighter than this. I can already tell you that without even weighing the things. However, this and this, I don't really know. So let's do a quick weight test here. First up, the heavy, 3 ounces. I will put the metric versions down in the pinned comment below. Now for the little bag, 1.6 ounces. Crazy. This bag right here is almost half the weight of this one. Now for the trash bag, 1.8 ounces. All right, this is totally shocking to me because I was in no way expecting these results at all. Holy cow. So this right here weighs 0.2 ounces more than this. That's insane to me. Now, if you want to go arguing about 0.2 ounces, be my guest. Little things do add up. And I'm actually going to give the winner of this test to the plastic bag. And here is why. When you're backpacking, it is worth it to have more weight for something that serves multiple purposes. And when it comes to backpacking, you can do quite a bit with a trash bag. So we're going to test if this is more packable than this. And honestly, I am the most excited for this test. This was not only your biggest objection in my viral video, the theory makes total sense. So you put all of your stuff down at the bottom in this pack liner to keep it from getting wet. The idea is it takes up all the dead space, making it easier to pack other things. It sounds like a great idea. All right, let's get going. So I'm going to pack my entire sleep system in here, including my pillows, my spare clothing, and my sleeping pad. All right, guys, so here's how it's looking. Now, I'm already going to say, I will give you guys some props that it does squish down if you squish on it, but it's still not very compact at all. Right now, I've got my food. It's on the top third. So the food is in the water right here, your heaviest things that you're going to be carrying. And right now, my food is pushed a little out just because I couldn't get a really good, smooth, flat fit in here to be able to fit everything, which is kind of alarming. And it's sitting pretty high. You really want to have most of the weight of the bag be right here. And right now it's at like right here. So I'm not loving the way this is set up at all. I don't know. Maybe I can sit on it and compress it down a little more. I still haven't even put the tent on yet. All right, now I've got the bag on. It does fit everything. I'll give it that. I was mildly surprised at this. It feels puffy. It feels like there's not a lot of space in the bag. I definitely feel like I got like a wide load, and I'm not really super confident because I can't access parts of my bag. I don't really like that. We'll see how it feels after 30 minutes of wearing it. So I'll check back with you later. I'm back from awkwardly doing house chores around my house for 30 minutes. I'm a little injured, so I can't actually go back right now. I also feel like there's a little bit of pressure up on my shoulders, more than what I'm used to feeling, and I feel like everything's riding a little high. So let's test it with the other backpacking stuff sack, see the differences here. I'm really curious because I haven't worn a pack like this in probably 15 years. So let's check it out. It's hard to see in there, but you can see how much more space I've got than if I packed the other way. And honestly, there's not a lot of dead space. I have so much more room. All right, let's keep going. So I really want to highlight this difference here. Look at how much further down my food is, and look at how I can get my food to be as up against my back as possible. Now, if you've got a bear can, this obviously is going to be a little bit harder for you, but overall, this is a more ergonomic way to hike because all of the heavy stuff is at your back. Okay, so I'm all loaded up. It feels a lot less bulky. But the key point is I have so much more room in my pack that I actually would remove the brain of my bag if I was going on a trip with this kit. And that would save a ton of weight. That's actually really unexpected. I was expecting to see something quite comparable just based on the comments that I saw in the video. But the truth of the matter is, this is actually more space efficient. You just have to pack it correctly. The compression sack's job is to take the air out of the equation, whereas a pack liner or a trash bag is going to keep a lot of fluff and air in the situation. I feel like a lot more of the weight is actually sitting on my hips, whereas before kind of felt like a mix between my shoulders and my hips. Now I know for sure it's all on my hips, which is awesome, and I prefer that. I could also easily fit other stuff in here or go on a more extended trip this way. Clear winner here, compression sack. Welcome to Camp Meg, where I have set up my backpacking setup in my very public backyard, and we are going to be testing pack time. This was actually the most intriguing comment I saw, was it takes a lot less time to pack. That's something I actually hadn't thought about, and I really want to put it to the test. Test works like this. I'm going to pack 3 times with a compression sack, and I'm going to pack 3 times with a pack liner, and I'm going to take the average of those 3 times.
I will say one thing that really surprised me about this test was how hard it is to unpack things from a pack liner. I found it really difficult, and I was pulling at my gear. I was nervous about a snag or a tear several times. I'll give it to the person who made this comment. It is a bit easier to pack with a pack liner instead of a compression sack. However, it really didn't take a whole lot longer to use a compression sack. My time for the pack liner was 8 minutes and 49 seconds, while my time for the compression sack was 9 minutes and 36 seconds. So if 40 some odd seconds is really gonna change your life, then use a pack liner instead. Because we were testing strictly pack times, I'll give it to the pack liner. However, overall, I really think it's 6 and 1. People often think about waterproofing in terms of just rain, but that's a huge mistake. There is so much that can happen to you while backpacking, and waterproofing your sleep system is extremely important for staying safe. You can put your bag down in a puddle or on soggy ground. You could be dealing with really high humidity. You could have a water bladder malfunction. You could slip in a creek and fall on your butt and get your stuff wet. You could also submerge yourself if you're doing a water crossing and it goes badly. The list goes on. Testing for waterproofing is pretty tricky. I wanted to eliminate the bag as a variable here. So instead of using my backpacking bag, I simply used the pack liner and the 2 different compression sacks for this test. What I did was go to an extreme. I wanted to push the limits of the compression sacks since we all know how a trash bag performs with water. However, there is an obvious hole at the top of the pack liner and it will get water in it. So I didn't fully submerge the pack liner for this test because it's not rocket science that it'll get water in it. However, the hole of the pack liner sits on top of everything and it's really unlikely that water will get in. All I did was stick these items in my kid's kiddie pool, douse them with water for 5 minutes, and then submerge them underwater for 2 minutes before pulling them out and seeing how dry everything was.
All right, my apologies for the crummy audio. My phone died. I can't use my mic, but this is very wet. Interestingly enough, it floated, so I'm really curious to see how it did. No idea. Moment of truth. How wet is it? It's a little damp on top, slightly damp in one particular area. I wouldn't feel great about it, but it would dry out before I went to sleep for sure. I'm not gonna have to like throw this in my dryer or anything. All right. Now we're gonna check this one out. Again, you got the big hole here. This one is totally dry. All right, now for our next one, it's actively dripping. So let's see. Oh, wow. No way. Huh. No way. My friends, this is perfectly dry.
All right, so what's the verdict between these 3 things? Right off the bat, I can tell you that the small compression sack that the sleeping bag came with is totally out. Just isn't waterproof, never gonna chance something like that ever. Now we're down to two things. The product that is meant to be waterproof and has unbeatable packability, or the DIY home solution that you can find under your sink. I would recommend a trash bag if you're a beginner backpacker on a budget and you don't want to pay 40 some odd dollars for one of these. Totally understandable. However, just know you're gonna be sacrificing ergonomics with something like this, and you'll feel that day after day on the trail. As for me, I will 100% grab this simply because the packability cannot be beat. If I can eliminate the brain from my pack, then I'm saving a ton of weight. And because I do a lot of really technical backpacking, I need that extra space for things like safety gear. Is a pack liner or a compression sack better for backpacking? Frankly, it depends on what you're doing and where you're going. However, one thing is for certain, that viral video I produced, not using either is straight up stupid. If you're like me and you're a huge nerd for how to optimize your backpacking bag, then you're gonna wanna check out my next video where I go in depth on how to shave over 8 pounds of your backpacking weight for less than $75.